Moving on to the second point, that is short period. Over here, one sec. Yeah. So over here, what happens? Short period, it is within an year. Okay. So obviously within an year means less than 1 year. And over here, what happens is just because of the period of time is increased from a week to a year, so the producer has more time over here to increase the supply of goods and service. A very important, just because time has increased, so has the increase of supply of what, of goods or services, whatever the producer is into. Okay. And then in long period, so since now we can see that from when, from a week and a day, the supply could not be increased, but in a period, that is short period, in less than 1 year, the supply could be increased from 0 to some amount, that is like 20%, 30%. And finally then coming to long period, since long period is between 1 to 5 years over here, as we can see, that is for a few years, generally up to 5 years. So over here, what happens, that just because the time is increased, so over here cost can be reduced. Cost can be reduced by why? Because over here all factors of production and cost are variable. Okay, because of this, what happens in long run, obviously this is a long period of time, so between 1 to 5 years they are able to adjust all cost. So they can even be lot flexible because of the demand, whatever is happening in the market. So just because of long period of time, over here we can see it's very flexible. And in very long period, obviously in this everything is variable, that is all inputs are all inputs are variable, and this is more than 5 years. Okay, so over here what happens, because production also is very long, over here inputs are variable. So I'll give you an example for this. So with this example you can relate to other as well, that is long, short and very short. So the example is a building. A building is that is produced. Okay, it's constructed in how many years? In a period, in a couple of years, like 2 years, 3 years, depending on the stories of the building, how many stories have been built. So over here we can see that just because of the long term of production time, what happens over here, all inputs are variable. That is in the first year the amount of steel, cement, etc., bricks and all, the amount varies from time to time. So because of that, all the inputs price are varied, and because of that the supply also will take a long period of time, that is we can say example of more than 2 years, which will come in the example of long run. And if it's a mall or more bigger story, that it will go in very long period of time. And if you go for a shorter period of time like hertz, etc., it can come into short period of time, and tense in very short. This is just a hypothetical example, just to remember everything in place. Then on the basis of competition, from here your main chapter will start, that is forms of market. So on the basis of competition, we saw there's perfect competition and imperfect competition. Perfect competition is an hypothetical example. So in perfect competition we can see that, okay, and always, as I said, first of all market will define market, whatever it is. And if it is a perfect competition, then we'll define what is perfect competition. So whatever question is asked, you have to first define it or explain it in your own words what you mean by it, and then further on say whatever the question. Like obviously if perfect competition is asked, they will ask it with the features. Okay, or not even with features, they will ask it with price determination, that how price is determined under perfect competition. So in this both cases you will explain first what is perfect competition, and this is defined by Joan Robinson. Okay, so perfect competition prevails when demand for the output of each product producer is perfectly elastic. This perfectly elastic we have studied in the chapter, okay, in previous chapter. So this important word is perfectly elastic. So obviously when perfect competition will exist, when the output of each producer is perfectly elastic. So in this also there are a number of buyers and sellers, okay, and they are in huge amount, okay, very large. And and all these buyers over here, very big assumption is that they are in perfect competition. They are selling what? Homogeneous product without any restrictions. Okay, homogeneous products, that is same products, that is in size, taste. This we had studied in the first chapter. In second chapter, where we taken an example of apple, that all the apples are same in size, shape, color, taste, etc. And obviously the very important keyword is knowledge. So the buyers and seller both have knowledge about the condition that exist in the market. So going with the definition again, that perfect competition prevails when demand of the output of each producer is perfectly elastic. So in these two words are important: demand for output and perfectly elastic. And then we go move on with the features. So there are total 8 features. That is, first feature is large number of sellers and buyers, same as what we have done in introduction. And knowledge, so that also done in introduction. Obviously of homogeneous product, again in your introduction. So whatever we have done in introduction, and that we are explaining in detail, so it is easier to remember the head points. Free entry and exit, this is not an introduction. And what was the introduction? Yeah, without any restrictions means obviously no government intervention. So total 3 points were there in the introduction only. That very large, what obviously very large, that is large number of buyers and sellers, homogeneous product, this is your head point 1, without any restrictions. So obviously no government intervention is there. And knowledge, and so knowledge, perfect knowledge of the market. So starting with the points that we have read, so large number of buyers and sellers. In this there is nothing as such to explain, is that there are in perfect competition, you have to write large car. This second word you can use, that many, like there are many buyers and sellers in the market. And obviously over here, that is each sellers form a negligible part of total market. Obviously if there are thousands of buyers and seller, so if you are one seller, out of that one seller or buyer, you are a very negligible part of it. Because why? You can influence the price. For example, now there are thousands of buyers, you, me, and except many other people. If you say that I don't want to buy this product at 100 rupees, you say I want to buy this at 90 rupees, so seller will still charge you 100 rupees, because your alone decision can't influence other people. If you say I'm not buying at 90 rupees, there are various other buyers in the market who are willing to pay 100 rupees for that product. So over here, what is it? That each seller forms a negligible part in total market, even the buyer. So you can influence. If you are seller, you can't influence the price. And if you are buyer, you can't where it is, yeah, if you are buyer, you can't influence. Also over here they use the same word only, influence the price of in the market. So there are two, buyers and sellers. You can influence the price in the market if you are a seller. Even if you are a buyer, you can influence the price in the market, because you are form a negligible part of the total market, because there are large number of buyers and sellers. Coming to homogeneous products, obviously same in this, no need to explain, should be same in respect of size, design, color, taste, etc. And since it is homogeneous, like each product becomes a perfect substitute of each other. For example, now since all the there are thousands of sellers selling the same apple, so if you are buying this apple, you can buy same apple from any seller. Why? Because they are substitute of each other, as they are same. Not like this normal substitute, other substitute, like when you go to buy Coke and this big cola, there's a slight taste difference in taste. But coming to this homogeneous products, over here they are saying everything is same, so it is a perfect substitute. So there is not even difference in the taste, size, shape, etc. Moving on to free entry and exit. In every competition, this is a common point, free entry and exit. Why? Because in whatever market exists, always there should be what? Free entry and exit. Like new seller should be able to come in the market, and if he's not able to last in the market, he can even exit from the market. And why this is important, because further on we'll be learning in after 12th that if you that why free entry and this exit can become an advantage or a disadvantage to the existing players in the market. Okay, this is for a future topic, free entry and exit. But in 12th standard point of view, just we have to know that entry and exit is very easy, that anyone who has the capacity or the capital to invest in the market to become a supplier can enter the market, and if he is not earning profits, he can even exit the market without any restrictions. So there are no barriers, because anyone can enter the market, whoever has the capital for it. And if he gets the profit, well and good, can stay in the market, and if there is loss in his firm, then he can leave the market. Simple and sweet example. Come, invest, earning profits, stay, not earning profits, go. Single price, obviously, since all the products are homogeneous, and so all the products will be priced at the same rate. For example, a common example, 100 rupees, one apple is charged for 100 rupees, so the other 1000 apples will be charged at 100 rupees only. So over here we can see important word is uniform price, and it is determined by how interaction of demand and supply. Moving on to perfect knowledge of market. So obviously the buyer and sellers both have the knowledge of the market condition, and they do not only have knowledge about the price, but also of the quality and the sources of supply of product. Okay, so obviously, because now everybody know that even you get a cheaper price good quality products, and sometimes even if the product price is like 1000 rupees, but it is as good as a 100 rupees product because of the quality, just it has a brand name. So the knowledge should be equally possessed, that is sufficient knowledge between the buyers and sellers about the price, quality, source and supply of products. Moving on to the last 3 points, that is perfect mobility of factors of production. Over here, this is an very absurd what do you call it, assumption, that all the factors of production will be mobile, like wherever you're producing the goods, that factory can be mobile. Okay, so if this is the important word, that mobile means it can be moved from one place to another. So over here, what is the assumption, that labor and capital are mobile, not only geographically but also occupationally. Okay, this is a very absurd assumption, and because of this thing, since this exists in the market, so obviously there will be no transportation cost, because where you are producing the goods, there only you will be selling the goods. This is all done just for one major reason, so that all the prices will be same, that is all the prices will be single price for all, because if one is producing at the further place on, so he has to incur transportation cost, and obviously if he is incurring transportation cost, he will regain that money from whom, from the buyer or the customer. So because of that, it is important assumption that we are assuming it is perfect mobility of factors of production, and because of that there is no transportation cost. Just because of these two assumptions, we are getting that it is of a single price. So all the things are related to each other. So at the end of at the end of all the lectures, if you are not getting that head points, I'll help you out in the head points. And finally, there is no government intervention. The most easiest point, that is laissez-faire policy, is an important feature of perfect competition. In short, whenever you have no government intervention, just write this word, that is laissez-faire policy. This means nothing, that there is no government intervention. And absence of transportation cost, just write in the same word, that is transportation cost does not exist. And why this? Because this assumption will lead to single price, that is uniformity in price. So total there were 8 points. So let's revise it again. First point was, one sec.